Right now, it's all about protein, and I am with registered dietitian Jenna Werner of Happy, Strong, Healthy. Okay, the P word.
Yeah.
And you actually said something right now. You said it's over available, but a lot of people don't get enough of the protein.
Absolutely. And I think people have a very misunderstanding of how much they actually need. There's a lot of diets out there that push for protein because protein really does keep us full. So it digests a lot slower than some of the other macronutrients, specifically carbohydrates. So it does digest slower in our body, keeping us fuller for a little bit longer. However, I think there is a very large population of people that overconsume, and then there's still some people that are just simply not getting enough.
Here's me.
Yeah, tell me.
I'm thinking protein, I want to include it in my meals, but then I'm afraid if I do too much, I'm going to bulk up, maybe get a little heavier. Is that true?
So the first thing that I would say is no. But the second thing that I would say, and explain it a little bit better, is that one single food or food group by itself cannot cause weight gain. It's the consistent over intake of probably multiple foods that cause weight gain. And so protein gets a really bad rap because we think about bodybuilders and people strength training and really going for those gains, like they like to call it. But that's combined with a lot of very technical exercise. So could you gain weight from eating too much protein? Sure. But drinking a protein shake is not going to make you look like Arnold.
Okay. So let's talk about the importance of that protein. So why is protein important? How much of it do we need?
So protein is actually a component of every cell of our bodies. So it's one of the primary nutrients that we need every single day. And as a common fact, there's only 3 categories of food that actually provide energy or calories. So calories kind of gets turned around as this like ugly word sometimes, but by definition, it just means energy. And there's only 3 types of foods or macronutrients that can provide energy in our diet.
Okay, so what's macronutrients before we move forward?
Big nutrients, right?
Big
Macro,
nutrients.
big. So only 3 types of foods are macronutrients, and that's your carbohydrates, proteins, and fats. So you need those 3 components to make up a healthy diet. So the technical recommendation for a healthy diet for people is a range. So everybody's nutrition needs are very individualized, but in general, a healthy amount of protein is anywhere from 10 to 35% of your total caloric intake each day should be coming from really good sources of protein.
So where are we getting these sources of protein?
I'm so happy you asked, because there's so many places.
Exactly, it can be overwhelming.
Yes, absolutely. And it's found everywhere now. Like they're sneaking protein into water. I think that's a little much personally. But in general, there's 2 different types of proteins. There's animal proteins and there's plant proteins. And you can get protein from each. So animal sources of proteins are typically obviously things like your poultry, eggs, your meat, seafood. And then plant sources are things like beans and nuts and legumes and tofu, tempeh, all of those foods that you're maybe not as familiar with if you're not a vegetarian.
Can you do a combination of both?
Absolutely. And complementary proteins is actually when you combine 2 different types of vegetarian sources to make a complete protein source. And that's actually what's most recommended. So I'm glad you brought that up.
That's good. But I know, let's say if someone may not be getting the right amount of protein, there's also protein powders that can be included as well.
Absolutely. Supplemental protein can be so imperative for any person's diet, specifically if you're recovering from something. If you're going for a strength goal and you're just not eating enough protein, a powder, 1 scoop can have 15 to 25 grams.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a lot in a little amount, and you can actually sneak that into anything. Specifically, if you use a unflavored powder, you can sneak that into recipes that you may not even think of. Like I've actually snuck it into guacamole before.
Protein powder in guacamole?
You won't even taste it.
That's like super guacamole.
It is. I love that.
Because you got avocado, and then you got the protein powder. Okay.
And then you can put in those veggies in there, get that color going, and then you're making the most out of every single bite.
Are we supposed to be having protein with every meal?
Absolutely. So, I mean, I shouldn't say that as a bold statement because nutrition in general is so individualized, but most people should be having protein at every single meal because of their specific goals in general, but also protein, like I said before, keeps us fuller longer because protein breaks down into what's known as amino acids. And amino acids, there's lots of them, right? And it takes a little bit longer to break down into those smaller particles inside your body. And as it goes through your digestive tract, it just moves a little bit slower. So it keeps you fuller for longer. longer amount of time.
And we like that.
Yes.
Because that means you're not reaching for the junk.
Exactly.
Right?
If right now you are, like, if that 3 o'clock hungry time hits you, one of the things I ask my clients to look at is if there was a source of protein in their lunch, because if not, if you're just having a salad that doesn't have any source of protein in it or no grains either, you're typically going to be searching for something to fill that energy void, right? Calories, energy, same thing. So without that, we start searching for things, and we start searching typically for things that we can get quick energy from, and that's like what you mentioned, candy, cookies, sweets.
Yes, and that reminds me of something we were talking about off camera, and we were laughing about, because it blows my mind how many different diets there are. They want to add protein, take away protein. It's almost, as you said, they want to make nutrition sexy,
right?
So what did you mean by that?
So, you know, sustainability is not sexy. Yeah, let's just say it, right? So most people are like, if they come to me and they ask me what I do, I'm like, I'm going to help you eat sustainably for the rest of your life.
Right.
That
Enjoy
doesn't have
food.
the same sex appeal as I'm going to help you lose 5 pounds in 3 days, right? So right now I see a lot of advertisements and promotion really over promoting, you know, using a certain food or food group as the key to getting your dream body. And it's really just not fair.
Right, because it's individualized, and that's
and there's not one food that's going to make you gain weight by itself, and there's also not one food that's going to save your life by itself either. And that's pretty much the bottom line of it. It comes down to that consistency and the daily grind.
You got to do the work. With the protein, how important is that with recovery?
So important. So for cell regeneration and growth, to heal wounds, to help strengthen muscles, while if an athlete is injured, you know, they don't want to lose their strength while they're recovering from that energy. Protein can really help keep those muscles strong and healthy during a recovery state. And so for an athlete specifically, you know, when they're not as hungry, sneaking in that supplemental protein is really important.
I know there's great ways to include that protein, and you have some great recipes. You even said a smoothie.
Yes.
Can you tell us about it?
Absolutely. So honestly, when I think about smoothies, I like to think about a meal in a blender. So you want to make sure my key ingredients, really, obviously we start with our protein, right? But don't forget your grains. So putting in something like raw oatmeal can help you stay fuller longer when mixed with that protein. Then you can do vegetables. My favorite veggie to put in there is cauliflower. So you can do rice.
I love that cauliflower's trending because I love it. Yes.
You can put riced cauliflower in there, and then you don't have to use as many ice cubes, but it adds a nice thick flavor to the shake. So we have protein powder. If you're not really big on sweet protein powders, you can use an unflavored. Then we also have those grains that I said. We have our veggies in there. Don't forget your fruit. I'll toss in some mixed berries, and then a source of dairy, or if you don't eat dairy, a non-dairy substitute that still provides calcium is important. So I like to use a nice coconut milk in there, and then some healthy fat. So either peanut butter, almond butter, or you can put the raw nuts in there themselves, and then something for a little flavor will help, like some cinnamon. Blend that up, and you're out the door.
I have all those ingredients at home.
Oh my goodness, are you gonna make one today?
I'm gonna make one today. Be
Can I
proud
come
of
over?
me. Yes, I'll make 2. Thank you so much, Jenna.